technology already stole you. It stole a piece of you from the world. So if we start looking at it that way, and my promise whenever I train on AI is to give you space back and life back. That's what AI for me is, the potential of it. And there's definitely risks, and we cover those. What's happening is businesses are using that as their initial outreach while they allow their people to be tied up behind technology and inboxes full. So that's where in my head, it's not what can AI do, it's what should AI do. The professionals who can delegate what doesn't matter and never delegate what does matter, and that's human connection and better communication. Those two things, AI can't replace it, because that's where our heart comes through.
Welcome back to the Soul Inspiring Business Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Tim Hooper, sales strategist, speaker, and founder of Energy for Sales. He helps business leaders and sales professionals increase performance, build more intentional pipelines, and connect with the right clients in a meaningful way. And what I love about Tim's work as his perspective on the AI leveraged professional is really, how do we use this technology to expand our capacity while, importantly, staying deeply rooted in who we are and how we connect. So it's a conversation about energy alignment and what it really takes to grow in today's world. And I'm so happy to have you here, Tim. So thank you.
Kara, thanks for having me, and like serendipitous meeting in the real estate space at one of, well, I got to hear you speak before you heard me speak. So that was also a treat, and you did a great job on the panel. And then of course my talk being on AI and AI powered sales, workflows, and communication. It resonated both ways, and then we connected after, and here we are. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Yeah. So for our listeners, it's Tim was sharing with you how we met, which was at a business conference mastermind. And what I was most struck at in your presentation was AI is very quickly shifting how we do business. It is the main topic of conversation at any business, whether it's a small business or a huge corporation. And what I really loved about what you had to say is this, you gave some incredible ways for how to think about AI, but also how does it allow us to lean more into our human potential? Because while it's increasing efficiencies and there's a lot of fear around it, there's also so much potential. And I think you really tapped into that. And so I'm super pumped for our conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people, hey, is AI going to take our jobs? And I try to go all the way back to like the Industrial Revolution, right? Where technology actually took our jobs early on. I mean, we all went to the factories, we all went to the industrial, and like, how many people do you know in your life are like, man, we're going to get into like planting a garden, or we're going to have like our raised beds, or we're going to like get some chickens for the backyard or whatever. And then like you check back, a year or two later, it's like, how's it going? Well, the garden like is totally overgrown. We gave up on it. It's like, it's just not working for us. And so I'm like, well, why is that? It's because we don't take into account the time, the investment, the complication, the work that goes into preparation, looking at the sun pattern across your backyard, it's just all the stuff. And at the end of the day, we think it's a quick little hobby, and we're so tied to our desk job, whether that's working from home virtually or in an office. And most of the time it's, I'm working virtually now after COVID, and so I can do all this stuff. Not really, because you're still tied to tech. And then when I work with sales teams and business leaders around their communication, outbound communication, how are you becoming more sticky, and how are you delivering an experience in a virtual world like you didn't know you could? Those sorts of questions. What we find is humans are locked down and shackled to their computer. One of the questions I asked our group, of real estate, the mastermind we had, it happened to be in the real estate realm, was how many will raise their hand and say, 2 hours or 3 hours a week, I'm in Canva creating a flyer or creating a thumbnail or creating this or that. I'm like, What if you could have wholly discussed that you're in Canva for 3 hours instead of in front of your customers
Yeah.
and communicating? And everyone's like, is that possible? I'm like, do you understand? Canva stole you. Like technology already stole you. It stole a piece of you from the world. So if we
Mhm.
start looking at it that way, and I and my promise whenever I train on AI is to give you space back and life back. Um, that's what AI for me is, the potential of it. And there's definitely risks, and we cover those. And I'm sure we'll get into some today. But yeah, just to kind of frame this conversation, I think we have to look at technology, not AI. AI is just the
Mhm.
new technology. We have to look at technology as what it's done to rob us of connection, but
Yeah.
also give us connection.
Well, and yeah, and I think there is that line, right, between leveraging AI for efficiency and then losing human connection. And
Mhm.
so how do you see that line play out between this, you know, using it for as a great tool, but also not losing that connection that we have with people?
Yeah, 100%. So, for instance, you invited me on a podcast, right? And I really loved your intake form, by the way. It was very, very useful, very nice, and very customer centric, by the way. What's your website? How do we promote you? What's your bio and all that? So amazing. So well done. But for me, a bio, or maybe you don't have a bio, or maybe you have, you're online filling something out. Like what's the goal here? The goal's for me and Kara to have FaceTime.
Mhm.
Pure and simple. We're on this, like, this is the beauty of technology, is I get to have FaceTime with you. We met one time, here we are. What's the limit? What's the limiting factor? Maybe an intake form. Yours was great, but how many times do we go on to do oh I reached out to an investment property in Iowa and asked, hey, PMI, we bought it during the pandemic, and really, really great interest rate, leveraged some debt. And I reached out to take PMI off because we hadn't put 20% down on this one. We're down to 20%. So I reached out to take PMI off. Oh, you have to go through this. Here's the email address. You just need to send them an email. I don't want to sit there and try to craft an email for PMI to come off of a mortgage. So I just chat GPT'd it. Here's the mortgage. Here's the thing. PMI. Here's the value. Here's what I owe. Write the email. Boom. Email done. 30 seconds.
Mhm.
So those are the sorts of things where I feel like the trade-offs, anything that's taking me to a form, anything that's taken me longer than 5 minutes to create, my mindset is, how can I leverage a computer that's the fastest computer we've seen, leveraging all of the data that's already there, because the data is already there.
Mhm.
And now I'm just having to put it back into my brain to then spit it back out into technology. That right there is a friction point. So delegating that so I can be in my 4 kids' lives better, not feeling out a removal of PMI. Does that make sense? So
Oh, yeah.
intake forms, online opportunities. What I do see though is a lot of business people saying, hey, we know video communication is important. Like, we've all heard video, people want video content online, whatever. So we're going to build avatars, and we're going to like prompt these AI video manipulators. Number one, that's probably going to go away, or it's going to have like tobacco labeling, like this was AI generated. Because let's be honest, we go to Facebook today, and the very first question we ask ourselves is that AI generated. Everybody's asking it. I can't trust that. I don't know that I can trust that. If you got on with me today and you thought Tim's not really here because it looked a little manipulated, you'd probably close this thing down. You'd be like, this isn't happening. And what's happening is businesses are using that as their initial outreach,
Hmm.
while they allow their people to be tied up behind technology and inboxes full. So that's where in my head, it's not what can AI do, it's what should AI do,
Hmm.
because some of the can AI do is actually going to hinder you. And I'll tell you, it's 2 things: human connection and better communication. Because all of AI is not better communication. Check out some of the emails it's writing, way too long,
Yeah.
just way too fluffy, way too online posting starting to look very vanilla, starting because, and that said, and the contrast it's making, even the tone it's using. And I'm not opposed to AI as the new typewriter and get used to it. We'll all get used to it, but we're going to know it's AI. And
Mhm.
therefore, we're going to be like, but that's not really Kara. or that's not really Tim. So the
Right.
professionals who can delegate what doesn't matter and never delegate what does matter, and that's better connection and or human connection and better communication. Those two things, I think AI can't replace it, because that's where our heart comes through.
Yeah.
So that's a
Well,
long
and
enough
it's so funny
answer,
you say
Tim.
that with, especially with the avatar, because I have a friend and she's amazing, love her to death, but she uses the avatar to go out to like in video cards that go out to people and just programs them in. And of course, as the founder of the Soul Inspiring Business Podcast, where we're all about soul and human connection, and I'm like, this feels wrong. This feels inherently wrong. Now, if you, I guess, if you've got you want to mass produce something out to the masses, yeah, that's probably hard to do, like 100 videos and record them in your own voice. But you are inevitably losing a little bit of that connection piece, because I do feel like people are starting to, their little sensors are going up even more so to say, oh, that's not right.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's not an all or nothing mindset with any of it. And so like when I speak, I really do work to understand the industry and the company that I'm consulting with and their customer preferences. And if you have an older demographic and you're throwing, uh, these giphy kind of moments, that's not going to land well. And so therefore you limit the human connection and better communication. But if you have a younger demographic who they don't mind a Minecraft character showing up on their screen and talking to them about something, that's fine. But there's also a time and a place. So if I reach out very, very initially to you and you don't even know who I am, but it's my avatar face, and you're my lead, came in over my website, and I'm reaching out avatar face, unless that avatar face is on billboards all around town and they expect like Fido the dog to be talking to, like, you understand, there's times and a place in different industries. But if it's high stakes investing, real estate, high stakes relationships, attorneys, like high trust is a must in your industry, and in every industry. I don't know of a industry where high trust is not a high stakes thing. Then I would say your tip of the spear moment, like your initial contact, it needs to be your sales force, your leadership, your face.
Yeah.
Then if you have like we created this like quick training on how to open up our portal and how to like upload your stuff, so it's super easy for you, Kara. And we have this really cool avatar named, Beth, and she walks you through all that. I've communicated and I've properly set your expectations. Then you're like, oh, Beth's amazing. Like, I love how she talks to me and walks me through all this stuff. That I think works. But I think, again, we're going and we're saying, I know I need to be on video. I'm scared of video. I don't like to get on video. So I'm just going to delegate that to AI. And we're limiting the trust building factor of, you know what I mean? Of what,
that's spot on.
how business works. So.
And also so some of the stuff that I've seen is where it's your face. So it makes it look like you, but you're actually not the one speaking it, because it manipulates. So you don't even know that it's AI, but something about it feels a little off,
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree more. You're better off, just having an initial blanket vanilla introduction and then going to somebody else that you can delegate that to,
right.
Versus it feeling inauthentic.
Yeah. And I think too, when social media first came out, the first people to social media, they were really, for that crowd, the people who were leaning into social media, they were really standing out. And so we all were sold this like top of mind, be on social, post this many times a day. And I still see people using that playbook, and it's 10-year-old playbook.
Yeah.
Anymore, social media is a language that most have learned, but it's not about time of day or how much you post. It just really isn't. If you look at the statistics, it's all about engagement, and it's all about the value of what's said, but also the repurposing. So when I share social media strategies, it's how do you become shareable? How does social media work as a library of easily accessed content that you are in your sales process saying, hey, I'm going to share this video I made 3 years ago about that exact thing. Do you mind? Can I text that over to you? And it's now, oh, you're cool, you're on Instagram, or you're cool, you're on Facebook, and that video is super helpful to me. And it's less about the stay top of mind. Why? Because everybody's on social, everyone's top of mind. So a lot of people are still just pummeling so much content out there. Well, AI is working the same way right now. A lot of people are delegating their face and their voice and their message. Look at every look, I'm going to bed now articulating my voice, and if you learn this voice strategy, you're going to win in business. You've already seen that on Facebook. On Instagram, you're seeing the ads pop up where it's like, don't ever say these 3 things. How is your day? Blah, blah, blah. You're seeing that one. And so everyone's seeing all of these companies trying to sell some product or solution or online trainers. And what are they doing? They're saying, oh, I can create in seconds content, and in seconds a website, and in seconds all this stuff. And so therefore I can sell it faster. Okay, all of the first few that did that may have got a lot of the clickbait, but now everyone's like, hang on, I know this now. So that's why I feel like the people who lean in authentically to their human self, delegate the things that tie you down, those are the ones who will just stay way above the crowd. It's just this, and I think it's creating a deeper need in people, our consumer, for answering this initial question. Is this real?
Yes.
Is this actually you calling me right now? And by the way, there's voice cloning out there now where you can speed dial your clients. It's your voice, but then it's really not. And then they get you. It's a bait and switch. And then they get on thinking it's you, and then it's not. And then it flips it over to you because now, hey, I just took the getting them on the phone work out of, well, how tricky is that? Like, is that really building trust? So I would just say the focus, or I always call it the filter for me is, does trust go up or down leveraging this technology? And if you are remotely on the break-even point or below, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
Well, and I think also it's interesting because it's the, you know, that filter of, yeah, do I trust this person? Do I, it's so high because of AI, that threshold, or I guess I should say it's so low, right? There's an automatic skepticism. And so I think your social profiles and what those are really doing now are just, they're creating a brand, so that when people look at you, it's not necessarily the selling, but it's like when they search you, who are you as a person?
Yeah.
How do you show up? Like that's where the value is, I think, of social.
Right.
And then the more authentically you can show up in those spaces, then, there, again, that trust factor goes up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm curious too, where a lot of companies are investing in AI right now and tying a lot of investment into AI, but also under pressure perhaps to justify the ROI quickly, right?
Yeah.
And so what do you think? I don't know if this is answerable, but what are realistic expectations for a return when you're implementing AI into your business?
Yeah. Wow. Couple of things on that. Let's kind of break down size of organization first, because I think the larger enterprise scales, you might be listening right now and you're running a region for a larger company, right? And you're like, we got to lean into AI, and my company's dragging their feet. They may be dragging their feet for a reason. Okay, especially if you're a publicly traded company, you've got a chief technology officer, you've got an entire maybe C-suite of IT professionals, right? And so really leaning into like the organizational goals, vision, resource stack, your environment, whether that's Microsoft environment or like a Google Business Suite environment. Like whatever that looks like is going to determine kind of where you go as a company. So, I know some like regional players, they'll lean in, hey dude, like I need you to consult with me. I heard you speak, and we'll start digging in, and their hands are a bit tied. So I would just say there's certain things you can do, any professional can do personally through like their phone and Chat GPT. Just preparing for a talk that you need to give to your company, you can go in and download your brain into a chat, not giving any company particulars or specifics, and just get ready for a talk on Monday to your team. Like there's so much utility from a business leadership perspective you can leverage any AI tool for. But as far as like where organizations are leaning in for ROI, I think depends on the size, but let's lean more like small to medium business right now. I think if you're a small business, or let's start with medium. If you're a medium-sized business and you don't have a chief technological officer or CTO, I would say look at using what's called a fractional CTO. So look for a company out there, and there, by the way, there's millions of 19-year-olds right now who are offering themselves up as fractional CTOs. So just be mindful of who you're actually partnering with. I would make sure that they understand my country and my rules and regulations and laws and all of that. But there are legitimate companies out there, do your research, that are doing fractional CTOing. And what they're doing is they're leveraging the AI stack. They know the Claudes, the Chat GPTs, the Copilots, the Geminis. And by the way, if you just right there felt a little lost, I'll stop. All of these programs are called large language models. They're literally brains. Okay, they're just a brain that different companies have built. Google built Gemini. Microsoft, because Bill Gates knows that Word, Excel, PowerPoint are going away. And by the way, if that just made you feel a little spooked, just lean in. Those are going away. You know how much money billions Microsoft was harvesting just on subscription-based models to PowerPoint? It's going away. Why? Because AI can do it like that. So Copilot is Microsoft's new Office suite. So Copilot, Gemini, Google, Claude is built by Anthropic, which you've seen them in the headlines, right? The Pentagon rejects Anthropic, and so the CEO's out like Robin Hood now, doing all of his stuff, which is important. I think all of this dialogue has to happen. Well, then you have Sam Altman. You've heard him mostly because OpenAI was first to the market with ChatGPT. It's like America's best friend, right? So all of these are just brains, right? So when you leverage fractional CTO, they're going to be able to consult with you and say, what's your friction point in your business? And here's the brain I think would work best for that situation. Because here's why I see a lot of medium-sized leaders. They're plugging into different solutions, trying it for 3, 6, 9 months. It doesn't deliver, or they, and then they're ditching it, and that's just lost. Now, did you learn something through it? 100%. So I think having a fractional CTO is just a smart move from an ROI perspective, and then work off of project-based. Don't just give them a free blank check. Say, here's my top 3, or here are our top 3 friction points. Why don't you present a solution to, and by the way, if you're a leader, get more of your frontline managers involved in this. Let that fractional CTO come present a solution to them and let them poke it full of holes before you sign on the dotted line. And then go project by project. And if you can't receive an ROI from project number 1, then maybe it's not that company that understands your dental industry or your attorney and billable hours industry. I had an attorney in Baltimore the other day say, I just got connected with this fractional CTO and they're literally scraping my inbox for billable hours that I hadn't billed. So he's literally harvesting lost money, lost revenue by partnering with a fractional CTO. So I would just say the upside can happen very quickly for you if you can show that we just saved as an organization 100 hours a week being tied down behind technology. Now, a lot of people go into, well, I don't want to let like my receptionists go. Well, I bet you there's 5 projects you as a medium-sized company have pushed to the back burner when it comes to customer service, client experience. And who was your receptionist? Like, what was that role supposed to be? The smile at the front door? Well, your customers aren't coming through the front door anymore, maybe. So what does that look like repurposed in an online scenario? Let your receptionists tell you how they can repurpose themselves. Because here's what I know. Most receptionists tell me when I consult with a company, yeah, I get stuck just entering data. Yeah, there's an AI for that. Your receptionist has a beautiful heart, and that heart has creativity and brilliance and customer service in it. If you could just, as a business leader, pull it out. So that's where I see like the conversation changes everything when we go to our team and our company and just start asking the right questions to pull out of them what's important, where would they repurpose the time, what's sucking their time, what are the friction points, and then we partner that way. With small business,
and I'll just say just one thing on that. Yeah, no, one thing on that, because I kind of got goosebumps when you were talking about that, is that I do think that's really the gift in a lot of this, is being able to upskill our our workforce in
Yeah.
many ways, right? There's a lot of people that maybe because of these entry level positions, maybe their job satisfaction has not been as great, or there's a way that they can really, because part of what we talk about on this podcast a lot too is how do you tap into your soul gifts? How do you tap into how to best serve and serve from the ways that God intended you to,
Yeah.
and so I think that we had some alignment in that after your last talk when we first met. But I think that that's such a key thing to look at is, yeah, how do we upskill, and what kind of conversations, if you're a leader, and do you have with your employees about how to upskill? What
Right.
kind of
Right.
resistance might you meet, and how do you move through that?
That's powerful. And, as a consultant, I've been with companies where when we mapped out, how do you maximize your team's potential? I mean, simple solutions like strengths finders. And you know how hard it was just to pull the trigger on, oh, we just don't have time, or we're just maxed out. And like for my people to take an hour to do that, it was like,
Wow.
but this is exactly where I see so much hidden potential is, and by the way, if you look at your company and take just a pulse check, your people are probably already tapped out, because if you think about technology just in the last 10 years, um, there's a lot more required of us, and it's not required, like, not in a healthy way.
Hmm.
A lot more required of us in that the channels of inbound communication have multiplied. You have inbound social media direct message, you have multiple layers. You can, like, technology's been a blessing and a curse in that we can connect with insurmountably more people and more avenues and more streams, but with that also comes different platforms and different interfaces with the screen, so naturally your people are more burned out than when it was just answering a phone. You're answering the phone in a dozen different ways, essentially. So if you think about some of the avenues that are draining the energy and shore some of that up through AI, you can actually repurpose the time. Now, here's what we know. In 1970s, the Delegation for Technology came before Congress and said, with all of the dishwashers and all of the, microwaves and all of the new technology for the, we're afraid, we're all going to be working 20-hour weeks. It, you know, we're all still working 80-hour weeks. It doesn't. So the human nature is to fill the void, right? So as leaders, I believe, how are we helping our people and leading them to, I would say, invest the void differently and better? And so that's where putting some initiatives together, like, hey, we're going to do this strengths finders thing so that we can lean into some of the things that are going to generate more revenue, more connection, more client experience. We're looking for, creativity. We're looking for innovation when it comes to the soft, in Kara, I got goosebumps when you said the soft skills. We said the soft skills for years. And the hard skills became Excel, and I can type 120 words a minute, and I'm a good programmer, and I know C++ and JSON, and like, well, AI is doing all that now. So what, like, getting back to the hard skills, you're like, well, is it like pushing a plow and making a garden happen? I'm not saying we're going back to agriculture here, but what I am saying is, how about putting a plow to the hearts of your customers and tilling up the fertile soil of like more trust, and like, what would that look like? That's where I see leaders really stepping into AI, saying this is not about replacing humanity. It's about giving my human resource their hearts back and their creativity and their innovation back. Um, so,
Yeah.
and if you want to go deeper on that, as far as repurposing capital, there's plenty of great voices out there on it. I do think there will be displacement. I do think there will be certain industries absolutely disrupted with AI, and I see that there's dangers there. There's some I think some things that scare all of us there, and I think that that's a more macro conversation being figured out. Where is it safe and not safe? Um, you heard my talk on that. I do a whole entire continuing education in the real estate world on the risks of it, fraud and other things. But anyway, I'll end there. But
Yeah.
I do think it's the soft skill piece. Oh my, oh my goodness! Like the U.S. Surgeon General says, we're in a loneliness epidemic. That means your customers are in a loneliness epidemic,
Yeah.
and we're not thinking about how do I get our bedside manner of my team better, like the soft skill. That's where I come unglued, because it's like we that's been a back shelf item for a lot of companies,
Yeah. Well, and
or back
especially
burner item.
the generational gap between, like, again, to your point just now, just a minute ago, behind a screen, you know, we kind of have hid behind screens. I mean, our kids, the way they grow up is different than how we grew up. And so I think there is this there's an opportunity, I believe, now to go back to more of that if we can, change our mindset
Right.
and thinking around it, right? And
Right.
then, but I'd love to even go into some of the tools that you're using right now.
Yeah.
I have some questions that hopefully our listeners will find helpful as well, as it
Yeah.
relates to, the small business owner, for example, like Claude versus ChatGPT, Manus, I'm hearing a lot about. So I'm
Yeah.
just wondering, like, in your own business, or maybe your top 5 that you think the majority of, let's call it a small to medium business owner,
Yep.
what kind of are the essentials, let's call
Yeah.
it,
Yep.
that they should know about?
So good. So we went enterprise, we kind of went to medium and fractional CTO. Now let's talk the small business owner, the real estate agent, the mortgage banker, uh, the landscaper. Like whatever your business is, and you're the owner slash salesperson slash
You're wearing a lot of hats.
maybe you
Yeah.
actually do the work, right?
Right.
Wherever your role is, maybe you're 1 to 25 people. I would just say, like, thinking small business. Um, it could be more than that. I would say that the number one, the go-tos, the number one tools that I would be leveraging right now, and it's not a tech tool yet. I'm going to get to the tech side. I would say just understanding what prompting is.
Mm.
So the number one thing, I'm working towards my master's degree, and stroked a check for one of the classes. I'm just going class by class. Stroked a check for 3 credit hours, okay, and leadership consulting, right? So I'm like, what is this? Why is this a prerequisite? And it was in my leadership consulting track is prompt engineering. 3 credit hours,
Interesting.
prompt engineering, the entire course. So prompt engineering, what is that? It's learning how to build a prompt that will deliver something specific for a friction point in your business, for something you're trying to do in your business. So I would just really quickly say, when it comes to prompting, look for, in any tool you use, whether that's ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, Gemini, look for your little microphone button, okay? And just start leaning into prompting with your voice. Couple of things with this. When you text, when you punch in a command into an AI with your thumbs, naturally we're defaulting to shorthand. Okay, we're just going to more be bullet point it. And by the way, texting is a technology. Texting is actually one of the worst communication technologies. In emails, like, we don't shorthand in emails, because we know emails were first, and so therefore it's dear Kara or hello Kara, or and then comma, and then new paragraph, and then boom boom boom. When text came out, we ended up shorthanding, because text was almost like the pager system. That's what it replaced. So it was just, I need you quick, K, LOL, JK, BRB. Like, we have all of our shorthand now for text. And even now, companies leaning into texting customers first. That's why texting is actually one of the worst ways to prospect.
Mm.
In sales, to send somebody a text is almost a violation if you've not established some level of trust. Most professionals don't understand this. So anyway, back to prompting. When you are texting with your thumbs, you're not becoming a better communicator. You're just not. You are always shorthanding. When you hit the microphone button, you're actually learning to, and this is something small business owners need to learn anyway. I have to learn this. And when you hit the microphone button, you're actually learning how poor of a communicator you are. That's why it's scary sometimes too to hit a microphone button. It's why it's scary to use your audio button when you communicate with a customer. Because what if I say, what if I say, it doesn't matter. It's who you are. And you're not going to get better until you do it. So I've learned, and people are like, AI is going to make us terrible communicators. Actually, it's not. If you learn to prompt it. Your prompt is treat your AI like it's R2D2 rolling around with you. And right when you need something done, hey, R2, you okay back there, R2D2? Like we laugh, like Star Wars. That's truly what AI is. It's a brain. It's a robot. It's following you around. It's read the entire internet, everything on the internet it's got in its freaking brain. So when you prompt and you're saying something along the lines of, hey, so for my landscaping business, I keep running into this issue and this and that and the other, and you just talk it through. I really want to do this, that, or the other. How would I go about that? How would I even start and send? You just gave a lot more context to the brain. So I think the number one tool would be prompt engineering, or prompt. I call it the PE for adults nowadays. PE, prompt engineering. So I would say prompt engineering is number one. But then what did we just learn? We just learned the longer you can talk, the more context you can give it, well, the better the output is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would lead me to tool number two. And that would be, I'm going to hold up this is my physical R2D2. Okay. This is my Plod. So Plod is Plaud. And you certainly do not have to use a Plod. There's plenty of other technologies on your phone. You now did you know your voice on the iPhone didn't used to have this, but your voice memo tool that comes standard on your iPhone, it now has transcription with it, which is new. It didn't used to. It just used to record the recording. It now has transcription. Why? Because every AI brain wants a transcript. So as a small to medium size or a small business owner, say you're walking around somebody's yard as the landscaper and you're still taking notes pen to paper. A couple of things are happening. You might be a real estate agent doing a listing appointment, right? A couple of things are happening here. You go into this this visit. I like to call them visits, not appointments. Appointments are for the dentist. Visits are for high value relationships. Families visit one another. Anyway, so you step onto the yard for this visit with this potential client, and you walk around pen to paper. The client is going to go at your pace as fast as you can write. Writing is also a technology, by the way. We were not born with a pen in our hand. We did not know how to write cursive. Cursive was taught to us. Why? Because cursive was actually a way to write faster. It was not so it was pretty. Cursive was so you didn't have to lift your pen up and down. So cursive is a technology. So your wrist, which was never designed to write in the first place, God did not design you that way, was so you could write faster. Think about how brutal, like cursive. And when grandma asked, they don't teach cursive writing in the school anymore, you can say, well, good news, they're teaching you how to talk again. They're teaching you how to prompt again. So,
Right.
all right. So
Love
instead
it.
of you scribbling, that's putting your hard work on display and your client is slowing down for you. You can now just simply, and by the way, trust always has to go up. Remember this. That's the rule of thumb. So you don't hide this. Well, I'm in a one-party state. They don't have to know I'm recording. Well, you just killed your business because somehow, some way, that's going to come out and you're not trustworthy. So here's the thing, Kara. My landscaping business, we do great work around your yard, but we're also tech forward. And with your permission, I'm just going to hit record here and walk around your yard. That way I can capture all the things you want done. And then I can structure this into a nice play by play, how we would come about it. And I'll put a nice proposal together for you. But then that way I can lean into like your vision a little bit better than sitting here taking a bunch of notes. Would that be okay with you, Kara? And Kara, unless she works for the NSA, is not going to say, please don't record. She's going to say, absolutely, that works for me. And then you just go around, hit record. Why I use Plod? 11-hour record time. Beautiful. The best microphone I've found. And so I'm hitting plot, I'm walking around your yard, capturing everything, get back to my car, and I'm already taking a 30-minute transcript into Chat GPT. And what am I doing? I'm prompting, hey, I'm going to give you a transcript. Here's what I want you to build from that transcript and only that transcript, right? And now I'm guiding the brain and I'm giving it the data. So instead of me doing this, then taking that somewhere else, then taking that somewhere else, I just cut so much friction points out. And what happened? Karen and I was listening more. I actually asked better questions because I was confident. It's like going to court and they have the stenographers. If you're a litigator and you go into court with a typewriter, because I'm going to take all my notes as I'm litigating, you are not going to be an effective litigator. You're not leaning in. You're not asking the best question. You're not litigating. So in life, I see AI being our stenographer, and we're able to now human. We're able to reconnect, look up from our notepad. We're able to look eyeball to eyeball. So prompt, learning how to prompt, then plod, I would say number 2. And then I would go the third P would just be, which program do you use, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Or which platform do you use? Because once you know the output you're looking, or let me back up. You need to get clear on the output you want. What's the outcome? Stephen Covey says, begin with the end in mind. And what I see a lot of people do is they subscribe to all the tools because it's so cool, it can do all this. You don't need all the can do. What do you need it to do for your business, for you to be productive and earn more income, like more revenue capture? Okay. What's that friction point you're trying to solve? Then go do research on the friction point. Which platform would solve this friction point better? Maybe it's Perplexity. Maybe it's Gemini. I would say any professional for the large language model you use, we should be looking at Claude better. Claude has some Claude bot. There's some the Claude, the agentic piece of Claude is super powerful. But let's just kind of break all these down. I think ChatGPT is kind of the standard in pocket for most Americans right now. People are going to ChatGPT instead of Google anymore. ChatGPT is a good basic research. Like, hey, what should I use for this? And it might even tell you another one. ChatGPT is, I think most of us are familiar with. Hey, I want to go to Italy on this trip. Where should I? Like, we've done that piece of it, right? But then there's other tools that will do a better output for certain things. Kara, I'm gonna shut up for a second because I've shared prompting and plotting, and I'm about to share some programs. But was there anything you wanted to dig deeper or unpack a bit more?
No, well, I love all of that, and I wanted to just share that as a result of your talk, that I really did take that to heart. Was the prompt engineering is huge, and I started after your talk. So thank you. I started using the voice recording a lot more.
Beautiful.
Because as you mentioned, I'm just naturally a talker. I mean, I'm on this I started a podcast. I like to talk. I like to be in communication with others. And I think that when you are prompting the brain, giving it so much more context. And that's what I had taken away from your talk was, you got to give it context and tell it, use my words, use only my words.
Yes.
So that it doesn't run away with its own brain of what it thinks or extrapolates from what you've said, but it actually takes what you've said and uses your words to develop whatever it is you're trying to create.
Correct.
So that was one big piece that I took away. And also the plod piece, again, as we talk about becoming more human, it has absolutely, for any sales professional, I think it is a huge gift, because then you can pay attention also to the nonverbal cues that person is sharing with you, because your head isn't down on a notepad, right? You're actually talking, you're connecting with them more, you're listening better. And so that simple tool, and as you mentioned, being able to say to people, hey, listen, our team is very tech forward. We use this. It allows us to really connect with you better and really listen to your concerns and needs so that we can properly address them. Are you okay with me, recording? I mean, I think that just setting it up that way, it does give you the ability to connect better. And so that's what technology through evolution, I think, has given us the potential to do. AI is no different. It's how do we use this tool, create efficiencies, and use it to create stronger relationships, not replace that, the human
Yes.
So
Yeah.
leaning into that, I think, is so important.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Think
yeah,
about the professional in your life. If you're listening, right, just close your eyes for a second. Think about the professional in your life, be it your CPA, be it your dentist, your hairdresser, like I don't, whoever, that just really sticks out like the person you can't wait to go spend time with again, or spend money with again. Think about that person. What did they create for you? Why? And if you dig into that, it is not necessarily the slickest computer system, or it's just so easy to swipe my card. Like, yeah, they probably have some of the slickest systems, but it's the way they touch and communicate and make you feel like $1,000,000. It's the way they're all in on you.
yeah, yeah,
That's called magnetism. And so I love what you just said. It's all of the nonverbal cues you're able to now pick up on because you've delegated the technology. You've just delegated that. The other thing is, if you have a team, you're able to think more about what is my team going to need from this? Like, what, when you send this transcript over to your team, what is my team going to want to see? So you're able to like really lean into even the more complex sales. What question have I not thought to ask? So I love what you just said there about leaning in to the human element, the soul, because
hmm
if you can find soul connection, you're not getting shopped.
yeah, yeah. So true.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Even I was at an investment seminar a few months ago, and they were talking about resorts, and it had to do with commercial resorts and the client experience, like experiential. Everything is experiential right now, right?
Yeah.
It's about how do we create an incredible experience for people, because people are craving that, like you said. I mean, people are
Yeah.
lonely. People
Yeah.
want to be able to connect, and so how can
Yeah.
we fill that?
Yeah.
And use technology to do that.
Speaking about experiential, so I'll share one quick tool now because it
Yeah.
fits right here. But if you've not played around with the Suno app, Suno app, I'd highly encourage you to play around with it if you're listening to this. And here's a quick illustration to what, Kara, you just said. I sent one of my best clients, and I don't use this for everybody, and Suno is certainly something that you can, just like social media, jump in and just get sucked away into a black hole of nothingness. So go at it from a standpoint of an effect, the outcome. But one of my great clients had a birthday, and I used Suno for Valentine's for my kids. I've used it for my mom's birthday, my dad's birthday. The result was so impactful. But so for my great client up in Baltimore, I went into Chat GPT. I just said, hey, create me a rap. He likes rap. Create me a rap lyric. And I just, for about 2 minutes, just said, this guy, he's got his second kid on the way. He's a great business owner, blah, blah, blah. And I just listed all of the positive attributes for my client. And I said, just make this into a rap song, 1.5 minutes. I just copied that and put it into Suno, because Suno is the song making app, right?
hmm
I sent him the song. I hit go, and it created this amazing, amazing rap song. Texted it over to him within 10 minutes. And by the way, I texted it way too late. I'm like, hey, with the link, it didn't just check out my song. I don't like, anyway, I get always better communication, right? So I'm like, I took the check out my song away. I'm like, dude, it's the end of the day. Before your birthday gets the way, you're so much more than an HBD on Facebook. Like, this is for you. I love you, man. And I sent it 10 minutes later. So it's like 11 p.m. now. I get a text message from a number I do not have. I don't know who this is, but it's a Baltimore number. It's his wife. It's a text message. It's not a text. It's a video. He's in his boxers in his bedroom dancing with his phone blaring my song. He's
Oh my
jigging. Okay, now not in deep, nothing is just long box. But it was. I just sat there. I'm like, that's my buddy. I mean, we've worked out together. I've seen him,
right.
but it was just, that's my buddy from from a phone number I don't even have. It's his wife's number. So he's literally in the moment, just totally euphoric. Take a video. Blah 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 blah. Hoop, and he's like, Hoop, you rock. She texted to me because she had to get the number off the thing. Could have
Yeah.
airdropped it to him, whatever. Text it to me. I have his wife's number from his bedroom, and he's in boxers. Like, I'm just like, if you like, you can't make this stuff up. If
Right.
you want to deliver an experience and you're not looking at some of these AI capabilities to help do that,
Yeah.
like your hold music could be about your customers' reviews put to song
Mm.
through something so simple as a Suno. So that's one little example of the experiential marketing, the moments that create, like and you know what his favorite song is that, like, and it was created, and he called me the next day. He's like, dude, I just knew how much thought and time you put into that. And Kara, I just hit record and talked for 2 minutes about what I love about this guy.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
but yeah,
I love that.
so
Well, and I think
experiential
that's so
is
true. It's
absolutely
how
where
you
it's
have
at.
the ability, I mean, to connect with somebody on such a unique level,
Yeah.
when you're leveraging those, that in that way. So that's very cool. Thanks for sharing.
It's the Etsy of AI, if you will.
Right, right.
It's the, yeah.
I love it. I'm gonna have to check it out with my kids.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're coming up on time here. I just so appreciated your time. We may have to do a take 2 sometime and go through even more of the programs or the platforms, and maybe even some practical advice on if you're
Yeah.
open to coming back.
Would love to.
So, but I so appreciate your time. I know you're putting together some online cohorts to go deeper dives into this. So can you share a little bit more about that and also how people can connect with you best?
Yeah. So what I found was you can listen to me for an hour, and a lot of people take a lot of notes. So, like, that's amazing. But what I know is when you're in a cohort and you can hear from other people just like you how they're applying it, there's a lot of mastermind value in that. I also cap cohorts. So I do cohorts up to 10 to 12 people, cap them at 12. So they don't get too large, but where you have the ability to share your screen, where you're getting stuck, I can share mine, but it's a conversation. And I do a 3-hour cohort once a month. It's intense. And meaning intense, meaning there's work to do before you get to the cohort, and then there's stuff you do after, and we're accountable with each other, because here's what I know: when all is said and done, more gets said than done. And so if you're really serious about executing on the best AI programs and platforms for your friction points, we identify friction points prior, we come on the cohort, we set yours up, I helped you build the prompt. Everybody walks away with an assistant set up for one friction point, at least in their business. And as you hear from the others in the cohort, you're technically walking away with multiple avenues to set up additional AI assistance, so that you can free yourself up to breathe a little bit more, to connect with your kids a little bit more, and to have a community that's focused in on you, that you can ask questions leaving the cohort. So we create a really high value environment through a cohort. If you're interested, just reach out. I don't sell it. They just fill up through my talks and things that we get to do like this with amazing leaders like Kara. So, but other than that, Kara, this has been delightful. I'm down for part 2.
Awesome. Well, and hopefully what our listeners don't know is I had let's call it a blonde moment. I don't know. In getting this my speaker, we were like, why can I not hear you? Well, I hadn't turned on the volume for the speaker. It took us 20 minutes to figure that out. I'm very embarrassed to say, but I appreciate your patience with that. So next time we will know exactly what to do.
You and me both, sister. I have had the same, and it's technology, right? And so we're in this together.
What can I say?
We're in this together. I know, right?
We
need a Gen Zer in the room.
Forward, but I'm learning. So, and but I really appreciate your time. You've been such a gift. And if anybody wants to reach out to you, we'll include all your contact info, as well as I know you're super active on LinkedIn. So definitely reach out to Tim and let him know that you saw him on the show. So
LinkedIn is the place to connect. And again, Kara, thank you. And guys, subscribe. Share this episode with another business leader that you know. Send it to a team leader for their team to take advantage of, and subscribe. I mean, Kara's putting out, I think, what the world needs right now, and it's that soul connection. Technology's robbed us of that, and we have it is time. It's time we take back the soul connection.
Yeah.
So let's go do that. Let's go fulfill our callings.
Love that. Thank you so much.